What's up guys, Pone here, and today I want to talk about the Buzzbee Brute. First of all, I'd like to say thanks to Coop for pointing out that this was a pretty solid blaster. I went and picked up a couple for myself because, of course I did, and I wanted to show you a little paint job I did on this guy. So first off, the internal modifications were almost nothing. These things don't have any locks on them. I don't know what lawsuit Hasbro had where they had to start putting locks all over everything. Thanks kid that stuck his fingers in a jam door and pulled the trigger, but Buzzbee hasn't had that issue. This is an extremely simply wired system. You can just throw 2 IMR batteries in here with a couple dummy batteries and it works fine. I threw 3 IMRs in and actually burnt out a fuse which is hidden under the battery tray. After removing the fuse, the whole blaster works fine again. I'll do a firing test with 3 IMRs just to show it off, I guess, but normally I would just run probably 2 IMRs in this thing is good enough. You know, it's not the best blaster in the world, but it is definitely good enough. I think that should be Buzzbee's slogan. Good enough! As for performance out of the box though, this is actually pretty good compared to a Rapid Strike. Using 2 IMR batteries instead of just the 6 volts from alkaline batteries, I was getting a velocity of a little over 80, and I'll do a quick firing demonstration just to show you the darts per minute. Alright, a quick look at the internals. We've got the flywheels up here, the main motor housing up here for the pusher mechanism, and then the battery tray. Now, unlike a lot of Nerf blasters, this thing comes out super easily. The entire thing is just 4 screws up at the flywheels, 4 screws at the pusher mech, and then 2 screws here in the back for the battery tray. Whole thing comes right out and makes painting a dream, and you can just throw it all back in there. Easy peasy. I did remove a couple fuses here, because when I was testing it with 3 IMR batteries, I actually blew one of the fuses. They're supposed to be resettable, but I actually destroyed one. As you might be able to see right here, we got a little electrical tape, and that's because I actually removed the flywheels to test the motors out, because I thought I'd actually fried the motors, but I hadn't. Yes, I use electrical tape. I don't shrink wrap my connections. I'm not building a NASA robot here. So yeah, I do it dirty. The trigger mechanism is actually super cool and actually makes the wiring fairly simple in here compared to the Rapid Strike. You've got the first stage right here, push back, and that gets the flywheels going, and then you got the second stage here, and that starts with the pusher mech. Just for a quick reference, most of the screws are the same. The only different ones are these 2 kind of fatter screws, and they go into the hand grip. This longer screw here, the longest screw goes in right here. The 4 smallest screws hold down the pusher arm assembly. Always want to do a quick check and make sure the flywheels are running right, so let's check it out. Alright, looks good. Now if you're a modder and you haven't had something come flying out at you at one point or another because there's springs in all these blasters, I think you're doing it wrong. So we're just going to do a quick close-up of this. This is really the only part that can really go flying after you open up the blaster. Now for the paints I used, we got a game colored dark green for the dry brushing, Necron Compound from Citadel. The purple is Formula P3, and then a little bit of detail work, just the silver paint on there is Runefang Steel. I do like the dark green color. It's from Game Color. But maybe it's better for games. It's definitely not amazing on blasters. It took like 5 to 6 coats of this, when normally with like a Citadel base it takes 1, maybe 2 for a little touch up. And then I also used this P3 for the purple. P3 is good. I got this from my local game store. This is beaten purple. Even over black takes only about 2 coats. Old Faithful, you know, Citadel's more expensive, but at least for the base layer and the dry brush paint, it's good paint. I did try to jam Rhino motors into this thing, and they do not fit at all without some motor cage finagling or dremeling out. And the motor cage is kind of small, so I didn't want to bother with that. Without further ado, the 3 IMR firing demonstration. I would not recommend doing this for long, but let's check it out. Not bad, Buzzbee. Now, as with most things, I usually think it's not about what's on the inside, it's about how pretty it looks on the outside. But with Buzzbee, it's kind of function over form, I would say. Alright guys, well that's it for me today. As always, it's not about having fun, it's about how pretty your blaster looks and how hard you wreck your friends. Probably don't run it from 3 IMRs for long.